Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Think Business Live. Looking forward to talking with Jen Zawadzki. Jen, it's great to connect with you. You're the founder and CEO of the Future You Project, and you've been featured on ABC and NBC and CBS and Fox and all these other great publications. You're just creating a very powerful personal and professional empowerment energy around the globe. And here today we're going to talk about your business and how you do curated gifts and experiences that really support and celebrate and inspire people through all the stages of their life and business. Yes. You know, I think one of the things as a business coach, and I see this from people I coach all over the world, one of the most important things that they always want to experience is feeling appreciated, feeling like they matter. And so talk a little bit about that and what someone else would find when they talk to you and when they go to futureYouProject.com.
Yeah, sure. So we are really, our foundation and our mission is to really be the go-to source for people for inspirational programs, inspirational gifts, inspirational resources, everything that will help them and others create a better future and help them thrive in life and business. Yeah. And we also are very big believers that the greatest gift is the gift of giving. And so we're always inspiring people to be generous and to support others along their journey as well, because the gift goes both ways. Yeah. So that's that. We started with our gifting program and then launched out into our keynotes and workshops. We've got seminars, we've got our community. We have our monthly meaningful conversations with exceptional people doing exceptional things. And we really just want to help people get inspired, stay inspired, and inspire others. And I love that. What we do.
I love that. We always need more of that. Let me ask you a question. And I talk about this sometimes, and I don't think people are thinking about this sometimes, the difference between inspiration and motivation. I always talk about that you really cannot motivate somebody. And the shelf life of motivation is very, very short, for sure under 24 hours, usually under an hour, usually under 5 minutes. But inspiration really goes a long way. And so can you talk a little bit about just what inspiration does to someone from the inside out versus motivation?
Yeah, I think saying the inside out is the key there. Inspiration is really about inspiring the soul, right? It's about taking the inward journey. It's about a mindset shift versus, you can have, like you said, like bursts of motivation to do something, but typically that doesn't last, where when you're inspired to do something, it's almost from a higher source, it's a higher place. So that's why it's important to differentiate that we're about inspiration and not motivation.
Yeah, I love that.
We do motivate. It's a part of it. It's a piece of it.
It's a piece of it. It's a piece of it. But the shelf life of inspiration is much longer than motivation.
Yes.
So part of what I do too is motivate people to get going, but then they need the inspiration is really, the fuel that keeps them going.
And I always think like motivation is like when you want, again, that coach, right? Or that trainer at the gym is going to motivate you to do that 10th rep or to make that 100th phone call or whatever it is that you need to be motivated to do, take that next step, where the inspiration, like you said, stays with you longer. It's something that is within you.
Yeah. I think sometimes you need to motivate to raise awareness and kind of ignite, and then you can do your work to inspire on a soul level. Right.
On a soul level, exactly right.
And give them those tools. Let's talk about being generous. I'm Jewish, and in Yiddish, there's a word called mensch, and it just means a good person.
I was just talking to somebody about that the other day.
Yeah. And so my father-in-law always says, the difference between, I'll say, do you know what the difference between a normal person and a mensch is? And the answer is $1,500 a year. And basically with the foundation of, saying, be generous, right? Pay, take out your wallet, do something nice for somebody, pick up the bill, et cetera, et cetera. And so when you talk about being generous, I want to kind of dive into that, because you can spend, and I see this too, I work with solopreneurs to Fortune companies and everything in between. And if you're going to spend a lot of money and not get an impact to inspire, and you can spend a smidge more, the ROI is there. And so I
Yes.
want you to really kind of define generous and how, what that means to you and your business.
Sure. Well, so I might surprise you with this answer because even though obviously we provide inspirational gifts and we really encourage people to look out for one another and to support and celebrate and inspire people, other people in their lives, being generous can be free.
Yeah.
Right? Being generous can be as kind as just giving your smile to someone else when they need it. It can be giving somebody a compliment. It could be giving them your time. Right. And so it's not always the gift. Why we have the gifts.
And I just want to add one thing to that.
Yes.
Because also being generous can be to remember to say thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Because most people forget.
100, especially in business too, anytime somebody is giving you any of their time or any of their advice or even encouragement, yes, thank you in all aspects of life, 100%. Yeah. And so, but sometimes in our life, we need a little extra, right? We're going through something maybe a little bit more challenging. Maybe we're not there to support physically in the same space as somebody to give them the hug or to give them, hold their hand or just sit with them in a room when they need that, encouragement. So we provide these gifts that allow you to send encouragement in a way that you can send anonymously, or you can send obviously with a Sent with Love card, but they're really unique gifts in the sense that we have themed boxes that are for every stage of life, no matter what someone is going through, the good, the bad, the in between. And they come with these letters that are personalized and written from the perspective of the recipient's future self. And what's nice about that, especially if it's sent anonymously, is that those words of encouragement are so powerful and they resonate so differently. Yes. When you hear your future self saying, it's okay, you're going to get through this, or wow, you are amazing. Like, have you stopped and looked at how far you've come? Just take it in for a second. And so that's what our gifts are about, is to remind people that, there's joy in the journey, like we were talking about earlier before we started, and that, there's a reason in everything. Everything is happening for you, not to you, and that everything's going to be just fine. Just, you're supported, you're loved, and you're going to be okay.
Yeah. That's great. It's great. It's great what you are doing. I have a question on this, because I would think a company may think, well, if I do it once, does that mean I have to keep on doing it? If I keep on doing it, will it lose its, oomph and its specialness? So what do you suggest companies do? How often, how customized, when to do it? Is it for everybody, especially, how do you guide and advise people?
Yeah. So for our corporate gifting program, we have a couple different programs that we recommend. And the first one is the onboarding process. And for that process, we recommend it's a multi-week program. So that is for the first 6 weeks, for example. For every week, they'll get some kind of letter of encouragement with some inspirational gift. Maybe it's a mug, something that will sit at their desk, something that they use every day as a reminder that they're working for an amazing company that supports them, their dreams, their mission, their aspirations, in their career and in life. And so that would be something where every week for several weeks, they'll get something that says, wow, so glad you're here. You're going to do great things with this organization. They're so lucky to have you, that type of thing. And then some one-offs might be that 10-year anniversary gift, right? Or that holiday gift or something like that. The retirement gift. We have some organizations that will send a gift to somebody when they leave to say, thank you for your time. That company was really lucky to have you when they had you, which is so classy,
Right.
And then if it's a personal gift, it really depends on what's going on in their life. So we have our 5-week gift experiences, and then we have our one-time only deliveries. And a 5-week gift experience would be for something that requires that repetition in order for that inspiration to really settle in, right? So it could be if you're battling breast cancer or the loss of a loved one, you're going to want those regular visits and those, repetitive words of encouragement for several weeks in order for it to really resonate. But if you're a new mom, for example, and you're just tired and you're wondering, am I doing this right? A cute little one box gift from your future self saying, you are smashing it. Don't worry. You will sleep again. Everything's going to be okay. You're an amazing mom. Here's, coffee mug and some coffee soap, that's cute. It really just depends on what the situation is in business and in life.
Yeah. How'd you come up with this idea, Jen?
It happened to me. So I was going through a really challenging time in my life, and I started receiving anonymous gifts from future Jen. And for 5 weeks in a row, I received different gifts and letters telling me that I was stronger than I was giving myself credit for, that there was a light at the end of the tunnel, that everything was going to be okay. And it really inspired me to look at my life and to say, okay, well, if I can be this person and I can have this future that future Jen says I could have and I could be, how do I get there? And then that set me on a journey to get very intentional about how I was living my life and the choices that I was making in all what I call the 6 key areas of life. And so that set me on the journey to joy. That set me on the journey to completely, change my life habits and routines, my exercise. I lost 70 pounds. I ran a Spartan race. I mean, I did it all. And then, and I catapulted my career throughout that year of transition. And a year later, when I got my promotion for my dream job, future Jen stopped by one more time with a bonsai tree and a note, and it said, I told you so, future Jen. And that was the day I knew this concept needed to be shared with the world. I want to pay forward what the gift that was given to me.
So cool. So cool. So, and you never found out who that anonymous person was?
I did. So the day that I got the bonsai tree, it was my girlfriend, Christy from Canada. And I immediately, I remember standing in my new office, like day one of my new job, the dream job I had been working for decades, and saying, girl, what you did for me, we got to share this with the world. It's amazing. I went home that night and I just started feverishly writing down all the times in a person's life that they could use this type of encouragement. And, that's when I started thinking about my personal struggles with infertility and my friends that were struggling with breast cancer and, my sister, and things that she was going through. I just, before I knew it, I had 30 things written down that, we could support and love each other for, and started curating these boxes.
Yeah, I love the anonymous piece because that's pretty special. Let's talk about joy for a minute, journey to joy.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people right now are in this post-pandemic, post-COVID world. People are finally getting out, they're traveling, they're getting back into the office, and everybody's kind of trying to many people are trying to recalibrate and find their joy, right? Their joy that maybe they didn't have pre-pandemic, but now coming out of it are saying, I think, hey, you know what? I need to find my joy. I can't wait 10 years or 15 years because of X, Y, and Z. I want to find it now. Mm-hmm. And so talk a little bit more about your path to joy. What it felt like, what it looked like, what maybe you couldn't put your finger on that, but how you kind of moved towards it.
Yeah, I think that the first thing is to get clear on what brings you joy, right? And what your dreams and aspirations are and why, what your purpose is, right? I will say that when future Jen started paying me visits during, one of the lowest times and most challenging times of my life, future Jen would say things like, do something today that makes you feel joy. And I'd be like, well, I don't even know what that is, because I had lost myself. I think like so many of us have in the roles that we play in life. I lost myself in the role of mother and wife and career woman, that when I was suddenly all alone in that space with myself, I did not know who I was. I did not know what my purpose was. I did not know what brought me joy. And so I had to get very intentional about paying attention to the things that brought me joy, which are often, by the way, the simplest things. And so it could be the morning walk. It could be the conversation with your mom. It could be, the sound of your child's laughter. But I think it's important to be aware of them so that when they happen, you can receive them and be grateful for them and recognize them. And I think that that is true in business and it is true in life.
Yeah.
So I would say that, from a business standpoint, wherever you are in your journey of your career, whether you are a career person or if you are an entrepreneur like me, there's always going to be ups and downs. There's always going to be peaks and valleys, just like life, and challenges. It could be that you're not getting along with your coworker, or you feel like you're in the wrong department, or you're being undervalued. I think the key is to know that there is a lesson in everything, that there is a reason you're experiencing what you are experiencing. And then again, to be intentional about making sure that you're finding the joy in the journey. And if you're not in the right place, have the courage to leave, or have the hard conversation, right? I think it starts with conversation. If you're in a place where maybe you are having a challenging experience, for example, with the coworker, how do you resolve that through communication? Or if your challenge is that you are, you hate your commute to work because you're stuck an hour and a half in traffic, what can you do to bring joy to that moment? Is there a podcast you can start listening to? Is it a conversation you can start having with a loved one during that drive? Like, do you have to focus on the negative, or is there a way to find joy in the journey? And I think if you can do that, it just elevates and uplifts every aspect of your life and can make your career and your life better.
Yeah, I love what you're talking about. There's a lot of education to remind people to be conscious and do what you're talking about in real time.
Yes.
And, there's the thinking, but then there's the actually doing it. I read a book about 25 years ago. It was called Living Your Yoga. And it was, and basically what it talks about was yoga. When you really start to understand yoga, it's about doing yoga off the mat, not when you're on the mat. How quickly can you get back to center, get grounded, and do what you need to do? So I love the reminders of what you're talking about, as simple as, to stop yourself, get back to center when you're driving in traffic, and say, oh, there's a podcast I like, and I'm going to kind of fall into that. I love that. I think it's great.
Yeah. And it's the perspective, right? I saw a reel yesterday. I love Steve Harvey, and he was talking about the importance of perspective, and, just even changing one little word, like, oh my gosh, I have to go to work today. No, you get to go to work today. Oh no, I have to drive in that traffic. Oh, you get to, because you have a car and a job to go to. Like, just change have to get. Yeah. And your whole perspective changes, right? And so then all of a sudden you're looking through a new lens, and once you are able to do that and constantly bring yourself back to that place of gratitude and joy, then again, your whole life changes. Everything becomes more joyous, and in the joy lives the magic, and you'll start to attract more positive things into your life, and everything about your life will improve. So stop focusing on the negative when there's so much to be grateful and thankful for.
Yeah. What's one time in your life, as you're talking about perspective, where you were able to see perspective and turn a negative into a positive? Because I believe sometimes we can actually change our past by changing our perspective. Yes. And so, what was a moment, if you can put some texture to it, where, you had a new perspective and you could look back in hindsight and say, oh, I can see that differently now, and then bring it into your future you?
I have so many, but I will say, for example, I talk about this a lot in my keynotes and workshops. I have had many struggles and challenges in my life that once you are able to look at it from a place of gratitude, again, everything changes. For the first 6 years of my life, I was bullied in elementary school, for example. And I often ask myself, if I wasn't bullied during those years of my life, would I be as empathetic as I am today? Would I be as compassionate? I'm so grateful that I lived through that so I could understand that type of pain and what it feels like to be bullied, to be belittled, to be spoken down to, and just treated unkindly. Yeah. So I've never been that way to other people. I try very hard to be the opposite. And I also recognized early in my life that had nothing to do with me. I was very blessed that I was able to see that and understand early on. And I think I was 11 years old, 12 years old, when I realized nothing to do with me. When people are unkind, it's because something's going on within them.
Yeah.
And so what they actually need, the people that are the most unkind to you, they're the ones who need your love more than anybody else. And so that's just one example that I could give you.
All right, good. I like that example. And you, you have been talking about, there's a lesson in everything. What's the biggest lesson, in this past, year or two that you've taken out of the last couple of years?
I would say for me right now, because I'm just entering year 3 of my entrepreneurial journey. So that's kind of been the biggest thing for me. I went through my personal transformation after my divorce, and I went through, some major transformation internally through myself. Now I'm on this business journey. And I will say that the biggest thing that I have learned is patience, and that my job is to have the vision and to do the work. The outcome is surrender, right? It's the idea of surrendering and saying, okay, how it's going to unfold is not my job, right? Like, my job is to have the vision, do the work, and trust and surrender in the higher source that it's all going to play out the way that it should. And that's hard sometimes, because when you're like me and you're a control freak and you have no patience, you want things to happen like today, right? Because you're putting in the work. Where's the result? And I've learned to let go and surrender and allow things to happen as they should unfold, because that's where the trust comes in.
All right, good.
The big one.
Great. Good. I like that. All right, quick speed round. Ready, Jen?
Yeah.
Book that's had the biggest impact on you?
The Success Principles by Jack Canfield.
Yeah, those are great. I love Jack.
Yeah.
The best piece of wisdom you've ever received?
This too shall pass.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. And finish this sentence. One thing everybody needs to do today to take better care of their future self is?
One thing that they need to do today to take care of their future self is to look in the mirror, look in their eyes, and say, I love you.
It's a good one. Tell everybody who your ideal clients are and how they can connect with you.
My ideal clients are every human being on earth who wants to make a difference for their lives and the lives of others. They can connect at futureyouproject.com. We have a newsletter where if you sign up for our newsletter, you receive 3 free gifts in 3 days. So I would recommend you start there. You'll get to learn more about us. Visit our website. You'll see our gifts, our programs, our resources are all there. Connect with us at getinspired@futureyouproject.com.
I love it. Jen, it's a pleasure. I really appreciate our mutual friend, Lou Diamond.
Yes.
He has a great podcast, Thrive. He always sends me some amazing guests that he interviewed. And this was great. I'm grateful that that he introduced us. And I love what you're doing. It is beautiful work. And, it's always great when you can be a conscious capitalist, where you can do something that feeds the soul, but also is scalable and can grow a business where you can, do really well. Think community, I'm a business coach. I work with successful people and who are stuck. I get them unstuck. I love this podcast because I have guests that provide information that can also get you unstuck. You shared a lot, Jen, but I just want to extract a couple things. One, which we really didn't talk about, but I think it's really important to highlight, the importance of gratitude. I write in a gratitude journal every morning when I wake up. I think it's so important to kind of remember and put things in perspective for the day, but also how you talked about just, finding joy is really, really important. And I wish that for all the people that work with you and all the people that are listening. And think community, if you go to futureyouproject.com, we talked today about how companies and corporations can do it. But like Jen's friend who did it, you can, if you just want to be an anonymous person that can help inspire others, futureyouproject.com. Jen, this was great. Any final thoughts?
No, I just want to say thank you for your time. I'm so grateful to you, and big shout out to Lou as well. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Jen, thank you so much.
Thank you.